financial analysis. So to begin with, we'll go through the economic analysis. This is where we evaluate the with and without project situation. We begin with the without project situation in a case where this project will not be implemented. And like we had said, the documents are put in the shelf. So this is the condition that will take place if we don't implement any of the proposed interventions. Number one, like we said, population is growing. So the demand for water is also growing. And in this case, if we don't implement, there is increased demand, and this will make the sources very remote and scarce. Definitely there will be higher cost of water, reduced average consumption per capita, and deteriorated level of water services. But as we had mentioned, we would like this project to be implemented and not be documents in the shelves. So in this situation, with the project situation, definitely increased water supply will improve the coverage levels to the required standards by WASTREB, increased water storage facilities. This will really help during the time of droughts, job creation also during the implementation phase, increased coverage levels, like I had said, because rehabilitation will reduce the leakages. The quality of water definitely will increase, and the new boreholes, and also this will provide easy access to water so that we don't have people walking for very long distances to go and fetch water. And definitely this will position Lowasco in a good place with WASTREB, will meet the required levels as per the WASTREB benchmarks with regard to the coverage levels. Next, we do the financial analysis. Number one, the very first step is to determine the total project cost. This has been done by the engineers as per the BOQs. So that's you see phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Then the next step is to determine the annual project revenues. Here we use the projected volume of water as per the proposed interventions and the average water tariff. And as you can see, the volume that has been proposed for each phase is indicated there. Next step, we go to the operation and maintenance costs. So to determine the net revenue, we'll do the initial investment cost, the revenue, and then we subtract the O&M cost so that we can get the net revenue. So given that this master plan is a 25-year period, we will discount these revenues to today, because now, like we say, a shilling today is not worth a shilling tomorrow. So we have to calculate and discount this figure to present so that we can actually see this is what we will invest, and this is the amount of money we will actually get based on the tariffs. So with respect to this, we calculate the net present value. This is it shows the present value of our benefits today, the project's worth today, so that we can actually assess and see this project will actually be viable. Like you can see the total projected revenues less our investment cost today. So based on this, like we can see here, our net present value today will earn us 698 million. This gives us a return of 15%. This is the annual return on our initial investment today. So this generally tells us that if this is implemented in a very strategic way and efficient way, and we reduce the non-revenue costs and we are able to meter as we have planned, then we will be the utility will be able to earn on a yearly basis, will be able to recover 15%. This will definitely result in getting an O&M coverage that is in the WASTREB benchmark levels. So now here we go through the O&M costs. So we projected the O&M operation cost. This is based on the current costs currently, the costs Lowasco are incurring now, and we used this factor in the O&M cost per meter cube, the ones in blue, and also the total production for each of the years. So we've projected this until the 2049, the entire period, each year, including factoring in a growth in expenses for each year till the final part. Okay, so based on our O&M costs and the total production levels, we have also included here the total volume produced. So you can see the cost of production here is our full operating cost divided by the volume produced. So you can see in phase 1, a unit unit cost of production is 85.88 meter cubed versus the average water tariff. In this case, to get the total paid bill, we are factoring in the revenue collection efficiency rate. So if our revenue collection efficiency rate increases, then definitely the tariff will go lower. If we are able to recoup everything we supply, it may not be 100% feasible, but if we try to reach a level like 85%, then this tariff will go a bit lower. So you can see phase 1 has the highest, but as we go down to phase 2, phase 3, the numbers slightly go down. So based on our tariff, we are able to project the revenues with the projected water demand and the water production levels and the efficiency. So in this case, the first current tariff, this one shows if we retain the tariff as per now, the 33 shillings per meter cube, these are the revenues we'll be getting through the phases, average projected revenues through. But if we have this full operating costs tariff, then definitely our revenues will increase. But then we also take into consideration that these tariffs here are a bit high and may not be affordable. So now we did an analysis to get a cost reflective tariff that is affordable and the communities may be able to pay. So number one in our consideration, we looked at the World Bank affordability benchmark, where they say a monthly water bill as a percentage of the monthly income should be 5% and not significantly high. So based on our socioeconomic survey, the monthly income is around 13,000 shillings. So this translates to 664 per month. Also, the households that were interviewed that are actually on metered water say that they spend between around 616, but they are willing to pay a bit more, up to 700, if they can access the same quantity of water but is reliable. So they can pay a slightly increased figure. Also, we looked at the document, the service delivery plan for piped water in Lodwar town 2021-2030, and one of the recommendations they had put was to increase the tariff to 66 shillings per meter cube, and finally after some years it goes up to 70 shillings per meter cube. Also, the water profile here, it says for us, Lowasco is a medium water service provider, says the average tariff is around 111 meter cubed, and the lowest block tariff should be 64 shillings per meter cube. So with reference to this, our proposed cost reflective and affordable tariff was for phase 1 66, phase 2 70, and finally phase 3 74. So based on these tariffs that we have proposed here, we now calculated what the amount the tariff will generate. Since we have said is the full to meet the full cost, these tariffs are significantly high. So we want to see, this is the cost that will incur due to the proposed interventions, and this is the specific revenue generated by the tariff. So as you can see, for phase 1, we have the full operating costs and the revenue generated by the tariff. So for phase 1, you can see the tariffs generate 60% of the operating costs, and we have a deficit of 88 million. Phase 2, you can see, is 87%, so the deficit goes down. And finally, phase 3, the revenues actually generate more than the operating costs, which will give us 125%. So here, we don't have any deficits. So what is the way forward? How do we propose on filling this financing gap? So for the operating and maintenance costs, as we have said, number one, there is the tariff, is the initial source for filling the gaps. Then we can go to taxes and transfers from development partners. And for the initial investment costs, there is the WSTF, output-based aid. There are the development partners who can support. There is the public-private partnership agreement, which is also something we have proposed. So like here, these are just indicative figures. They are not cast on stone. This is just something we have proposed. But for phase 1, as we had said, our deficit is 88 million. So this can be filled in by transfers from development partners. We can have county government allocations to incur 25% of phase 2, and maybe national government to the Ministry of Water. And as you can see, this is for the entire phase 2, which is 10 years. So this 176 million is for the entire period of 10 years. So for 1 year will be roughly maybe 17 million, the same as the national government allocation is for the entire 10-year period. So in our report, we have broken this down to the yearly amount that will be required for that year. This is the cumulative figure. So for the proposed sources of finance for the investment, you can see there is the development partners, WSTF, and the public-private agreement for phase 3. This one is allocated specifically for the dam in the final phase. Like I had said, it's not cast on stone. It's something that is really flexible.